Welcome to the Craftsman interview. I'm here with Bruce Durr, who is the owner and brewer of Tighthead Brewery in Mundelein, Illinois. The objective of these interviews is to learn a little bit about who is behind the scenes and their journey to entrepreneurship, and learn about their beer and things like that. So let's just jump right into it, Bruce. What brought you into the craft beer scene? I understand you were a home brewer for a while.
I was. My wife gave me a homebrew kit about 21 years ago, a year before I got married.
Wow.
And so I brewed for most of those years. And I judged homebrew competitions. I was a certified homebrew judge.
Oh, wow.
So I judged competitions. I organized them for my club. I was just kind of a beer geek. I read about beer history, beer culture. So I was all about the beer.
Great.
Sure.
So you were in corporate America and you decided to take the leap into starting your own business, your own brewery, obviously. Tell us a little bit about
a little
that
bit
journey.
of a shove, but it was it's businesses ebb and flow. I had thought about it about 12 years ago. I had been reorganized out of a job and started thinking about having my own business.
Okay.
And then about 5 years ago, it happened to me again. So it was time. I'd kind of had it with kind of the corporate structure and didn't really care that much for what I was doing. Not real passionate about it.
Okay.
So my wife and I decided it was time to do something that made me happy. And
Good for you.
She's got a big job. She supports me fully. So that's really how I was able to do it.
That's great.
So
Where do you live?
We're in Mundelein.
You're in Mundelein.
Yep.
So was the objective the whole time to stay in Mundelein and be close to home and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're not from Mundelein, but we came up here out of the city about 18 years ago.
Okay.
And to start a family. So yeah, I've got 3 kids, 2 in high school, 1 in grade school here in Mundelein. So
Okay.
I wanted to support, the community that I kind of raised my kids in.
Right.
As well as, like I said, my wife's got a pretty big job, so if I can be close and go get them from school if I need to, and be 2 minutes from the home,
Right.
It's definitely helpful. So, but we really like Mundelein, and there's we're trying to get more businesses to come to Mundelein, so I think we're a good impetus to try to help spearhead some of that.
Well, there's the village hall that's next door here is really developed, and it's a beautiful space.
It is. Yeah, it's the gold certified, or like environmentally friendly as well.
Oh, okay.
Eco-friendly. But it is a great building. They're hoping to get more retail around that space as well.
Okay.
With us being right here and the train station, that's kind of where they want to focus some of the development. So it's nice that we're right here. That wasn't the intent originally. Without weekend runs at the train, it's kind of a bummer, but we do get some good train traffic as well.
Cool. Cool.
But it's we're looking to contribute to that whole feel of Mundelein. So.
That's great. And you're expanding, I understand? Things are going really well. On a scale of 1 to 10, have you been surprised with the reaction from Lake County folks, or?
Yeah, absolutely, from Lake County. And that was a concern, early on, 4 years ago, when I'm doing my planning and starting the build out, was, is Lake County ready for craft beer? It seemed like they were, but trends tend to filter out a little slower. But it's been great. Our distributor here in Lake County is, for the first year and a half, a good 75–80% of all of our distributed beer. So local sales, there's a lot of great support from Lake County and the locals. So,
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Very good.
So I understand did you just purchase a canning line, or?
Yeah, so we've basically been in draft format for the first 3 years
Okay.
of the business, meaning only selling to bars and restaurants, and then with the tap room, which is a small part of what we do. So it was time. The plan was to do it in year 2 originally, but I wanted to grow the footprint a little bit, get into some other counties before we took on the debt of a line.
Yeah.
But it was time. There's a lot of people jumping into the market. It's getting really popular in Chicago. I think breweries are opening probably every couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we've got a good reputation. We're making good beer. And our name's been out there now, so now it's time to really expand and get into those channels that we can get into with cans.
Well, congratulations. That's not an easy purchase, I would imagine.
No, it's not. And my wife would tell you that I don't spend money well. So it freaks me out. It just scares the hell out of me. So yeah, I'm pretty cautious, which is good, I guess, as a business owner. But I guess maybe miser, like they call it.
That's why they call it growing pains, right?
It is. Yeah, I understand you have to spend money to make money. So yeah, that's a good thing.
So craft beer is just blown up. You were home brewing a long time. I mean, did you see this coming?
I don't know. You do see it coming, for sure. You see it grow. I mean, even with the amount of homebrew shops, the different types of events going out. Once I did get into it, seeing it grow, even in Lake County, you go into a bar and there's 5 tap handles. Well, you're starting to see them pull those Bud and Miller light handles.
Yeah.
And they can sell the craft, and if they can, a lot of people are glad to have a Bud or Miller light in a bottle and probably prefer it. So they're starting to figure it out. So people are really getting more involved. As far as seeing it coming, I think just the growth, in the different areas, especially out west. It's been there for a while.
Okay.
But yeah.
You mean out west, like San Francisco and all of that?
Yeah, the Northwest and Denver, right, and those kind of craft beer havens. But Chicago's on the cusp of becoming a really great craft beer city. It always has been, I think. But there's a lot of homegrown beer coming in right now that.
Well, you've got
we're making great beer in Chicago.
Yeah, you've got the Revolution and Half Acre and Lagunitas. I was listening to an interview with Tony McGee, and he was talking about the difference between California water, or lack thereof,
sure,
and Lake Michigan water, and how great it is for brewing.
It is. Yeah, I mean, water is always very important.
Yeah.
So, Lake Michigan water is just very well balanced. It's not too hard, not too soft. So there's not a lot we have to do to it other than remove some of the solids and
right,
things that aren't so good that the towns put in our water, really, to keep us healthy.
You got to remove the stuff,
the fluoride and the chloride. So.
The craft brews popping up everywhere. Breweries are popping up everywhere. Mm-hmm. Your opinion on we're not near a saturation point, are we? Or what's your feeling on that?
No, it's definitely not worth near a saturation point. Just numbers. If you look at numbers alone, it's still, I think craft is still less than 10% of all the beer market in the U.S.
Right.
So there's a lot of growth there. There's a lot of movement that needs to happen. As far as there is some saturation, I would say, just in the pure number of breweries trying to get into the market. I see that. It gets overwhelming even to a brewer to go in. We recently moved into Bombers about 2 months ago, testing the retail market, and doing the research for that, and to stand at a Binny's or one of the big liquor stores, and it's lit a wall of just everything. So it can be overwhelming, but I think the way we started getting the name out there, so we do have a little following. People have heard of us. We've been doing festivals and things around the area for 3 years.
Right.
So that'll help once we get to package. They'll recognize the name, hopefully.
Right, kind of a slow build.
Sure.
Yeah. It is pretty intense. I went to the craft beer store in Libertyville, and it's tough to. I mean, you kind of have to read the reviews, and it's got to be tough for breweries because you got to cut through some of that clutter, if you will, to become known. And it sounds like your strategy was a good one by opening up the tap room, having a footprint here locally, and then building on that. Was that sort of your model?
It was. I don't know. Yeah, I question it every once in a while. When I went into it, I wanted to be able to supply the market, knowing I was only going to be in draft. It's a tough sell, but I wanted to be able to supply it if they wanted it. I didn't want to, put out a beer and then, in 2 months not be able to get them beer again, or they'd have to wait 2-3 months to get that beer. If someone likes it, I want to keep that handle and try to keep that that business coming. So I started into it a little slow. I started Lake County only, and soon realized that it makes no sense not to be in Cook and in Chicago. So we expanded and found distributors to do that, and now we've expanded. We're in about 7 counties now.
Oh wow!
So
you're really growing at a nice clip here.
It is, yeah. Barrel-wise, total volume production, not quite as much last year as I would have liked. Okay. But with packaging, it just opens up that channel. Again, you're able to go into the convenience store, right, the gas station, liquor stores. So there's a lot more market out there in package format. So, and we're also growing the footprint. So we're moving to Rockford. Okay. We're taking on a distributor who can take us all the way to the Mississippi, and then down around sort of Peoria, Champaign. Wow! So we'll be covering everything north of Champaign very soon.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
So it's just more tanks, which is a good problem to have. Just slide a couple more tanks in.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite beer? Do you have something that I presume that some of the things
my least favorite question.
Some of the beers that we have up here, which I've had the enjoyment of drinking,
sure.
I imagine those are recipes that you have been working on over the years. Either that, or else you got a really fast start because you've got a lot of great beer.
We do a lot of beer. A lot of them. Most of the recipes are Billy's, who's Billy Oakes, who's my head brewer. Okay. He's been here since day one. We homebrewed together for years. He managed the Perfect Brewing for a while. He's a great brewer. I give him all the credit for great beer. Because there's just too much for me to be doing to be that hands-on at this stage. So a few of the beers I had brewed in the past and brought with me. The Scarlet, we kind of built the blonde together. Irie is something that he had brewed for years. It's a great IPA. That's why I can say I'd put it up against anything. There's a lot of great IPAs out there though, so I'm not, I wouldn't put it up against all of them, but it is a great IPA. And,
what are some of your, who do you think's doing it really well? I'm a big fan of Bell's, for example.
Sure.
On a national scale, who do you think is doing it really well? And then locally here, who do you think is doing a great job, besides you guys, obviously?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to define now because even a lot of the breweries in Illinois and Chicago are going national very quickly, or at least, grabbing states that aren't necessarily even contiguous to Illinois necessarily. Okay. So, so they're growing very quickly. Obviously Lagunitas is making great beer. They've always been in this market pretty strong. Building here, obviously there's a bigger presence for them. Right. But I think that's really to support the East Coast operations. Right. Where Sierra Nevada and some of those guys are building facilities on the East Coast to support it. They chose here because Tony's local, so he's from this area. Revolution does a great job. They went into it just with a great marketing plan. They built it to be that size, and they're executing, I think, really, really well. Yeah. Half Acre, they're just steady. I'm not sure even how far out they are, but they sell a lot of beer in Chicago, and in the Chicagoland area.
They got a wonderful tap room there.
They do.
Their tap room design.
They're good guys, and
is awesome.
It's a great industry to be in. It's hard to find, brewers you don't like to hang out with.
Yeah, right.
And there's, even though there's competition and everything, it's very friendly. It's very cordial. Yeah. You can still ask questions. You can still get ingredients, and really share ideas and collaborate. So it's good.
Yeah, that's key. The collaboration key is. It makes it more fun that way, I would imagine.
It really is.
Because the tap handle business, I don't know a lot about the beer business, but I do know that that's serious real estate. And the big guys, the Budweisers and the Millers, are pretty aggressive. Is that still the way it is?
Yeah. My understanding, Chicago still has been known as a pay-to-play market, and I think it tends to be. It's hard to compete as a small brewer. With possibly someone giving away a keg to a bar, or 2-for-1 deals. We can't do that.
Right.
or we'd be out of business. So it is tough, but you just have to count on the consumer and the people who love craft and building that base and building those people who really want to come out and drink a couple good beers.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what you count on and hope that spreads, and I think it is.
What do you think of the big guys, you know, InBev buying Goose Island and Elysian, is that what it's called?
Elysian.
Elysian.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious they've been trying to get into, I think the whole reason we're here, the whole Craftsman thing, it's craft beer for a reason.
Yeah.
When you're mass producing beers, it's not, it loses that whole personal craft feel.
Right.
So they've tried, the Third Shift, Blue Moon, those are big, Miller Bud products.
Yeah.
That they try to get in. They tried to buy into it early, the Red Hooks, stuff like that. I can't speak for how Elysian got to where they're at with Bud. I've heard, with Goose Island, they were just, it's either build a new facility or really blow it out and continue to grow huge. But beer's very regional. It's very, and always has been because it's very temperamental. So to get distribution across the country, either you do like McGee, move, Lagunitas right here, or Sierra Nevada to the East Coast. Goose Island was already central, so you can only get so far to Ohio and Iowa and trying to push out to those coasts without just going and just blowing it up and redoing everything.
Yeah.
And I think at that point you make a decision and say, well, this allows me to get my brand, nationwide where I need to. So I think that's different than just selling out in a way. But at some point it does, fail to be craft.
Yeah.
I would,
right.
Venture to say that, Sam Adams is on that verge and probably should have been years ago.
Right.
Well,
I always kind of cringe a little bit when I hear that Bud or Miller's scooping up some of these great craft breweries, but then there's sort of the practical aspect of it where there's a family behind it.
Sure.
And you think, from my perspective, I'm like, hey, kudos to that guy or gal because they've got a great opportunity to impact. I mean, let's face it, it's
Well, I wasn't
takes
young.
money to live these days.
I wasn't young when I started this, so I'd been in corporate 20 years, and my wife has been in corporate longer than that now.
Yeah.
And at some point, my kids are about to go to college, or at least the first one, and if they don't want to come home and run the family business, I'm a sole owner, so I make the decision. If it doesn't stay in the family, then once everybody's out of school, maybe I'll take a couple $1 million and go buy a house in Denver, in Colorado, which is where I'd like to be.
And more power to you,
I don't know what would happen at that point, so it's hard for me to judge other people, I think, and what their decisions were. Right. Just not knowing where I would be. So.
Yeah. So you have, I love the names of your beers. You obviously are a big music buff.
Yep.
Did you get Dead tickets?
Not yet. I was actually traveling.
Did you get the envelope out?
No, I didn't even. We went skiing in Park City and literally drove for some reason. So 20 hours. It was the entire Tuesday of the first mail order.
Okay. All right.
So I didn't stop at a Walgreens and start filling out envelopes. I'm hoping to get one. If not, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I was at the last one, so. The last show there at Soldier Field.
So, yeah. So
there's a lot of memories. I know it'll never be the same. So I'd love to be there,
true.
But I don't think it's going to happen unless I pay a lot of money.
Right.
It might happen. Who knows?
We could go hang out in the parking lot.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the most fun. Anyway.
That's the most fun, right? Exactly. So talk a little bit about the creativity side of this business and tying in the music. I mean, do you come up with the names and some of the concepts?
Well, it's really whoever's recipe it is. Billy designs great recipes. So, early days, like the porters, we'll sit and we'll talk about recipes, or we'll say, let's do a porter. People are screaming for a porter. So we'll sit and talk, we both homebrewed for long enough that, I used to do mine this way. And you sit and you build a recipe, and it's really all about balance. It's just understanding the ingredients well enough to put the recipe together.
Okay.
So, you know, I don't do as much of them. I did a Belgian double the other day because I really wanted to do a double.
Nice.
So, you know, I came up with a recipe. Adam, our new assistant brewer, has been here a year. He's got a couple beers that we did this year. We like to keep it in that homebrew feel, and not a lot of production breweries do as many beers as we do.
Okay.
We have 15 on tap now. You know, we still, the 5 main beers, or 4 are the ones we're really out distributing and really pushing in the market.
And what are those?
Comfortably Blonde, American Blonde, Scarlet Fire, Red Ale,
okay.
Which is an Irish style red, an Irie IPA, which is a big, strong IPA, about 7.8, but very nice.
Yeah.
And then Chili Water was added, which is an American Pale Ale.
Okay.
Irie was so big that we wanted to have something that was a little more sessionable.
Got it.
But we don't believe in.
That's a good beer.
We don't believe in session ales. So.
No, why not?
Because if it's a pale ale.
Okay. That explains it.
Yeah, exactly. So really, whoever's recipe is really responsible for coming up with a name in a way.
Okay.
So,
right.
but we do tend to. I was a big Deadhead, and I like all kinds of music. Billy, you know, also likes the Dead, but is more into Fish and some of the jam bands. So
okay.
You'll see reference to a lot of that. It gets a little abstract from the Tighthead. You know.
Yeah. Right.
For all you business professors out there, this is not marketing 101. Yeah, to have a company name that really doesn't use you know, rugby terms necessarily in the beer names is maybe not traditional, but yeah, the beers will have their own identities, their own brand.
It's a great logo. Talk a little bit about the evolution of the. Did you have Tighthead in your brain for a long time? You knew that was what it was going to be, or
not for a real long time. I wanted to bring it back to something that was kind of fun and meant something to me. I used to call my homebrew system at one point in time, you know, later on.
Okay.
Tighthead Brewing Company, but there was a couple other ideas around some other thoughts. It is something that meant something. I played Tighthead prop. I was a rugby player for about 13 years. So it meant something to me. And the evolution of the logo was really just working with my artist. At first we were looking at like kind of a rugby guy or like an animated character in the words. But we just felt that was a little too gimmicky. And then I was like, well, you know, a rugby ball has kind of that classic shape for a patch or a logo or something. So we ended up with that, and it's sort of a rugby ball with a hop flame concept.
Yeah, it's a cool logo.
But it is. It's nice and simple. It lends itself to a lot of applications.
So Bruce, what's coming down the pike for Tighthead? Any festivals coming up in the summer? Any new beers that you want to talk about?
Beer-wise, we do seasonals, quite a bit of seasonals as well. Okay. So we'll be brewing our Maibach, which will come out in the spring. Very nice German lager, pale lager. We do a wit beer for the summer, our Go-Go Wit. So those are kind of the big beers that will be coming out. We usually throw some English-style beers in there in the spring.
Okay.
Some of them never leave the tap room, but our patrons like it here. But we do have our Craft Beer Fest. This will be the 4th year, so June 6th. And last year we had 35 breweries, so we'll probably sit right in that area. We have food, live music.
And where is that?
So it's going to be right next to the brewery. In the past 3 years, it's been in our parking lot.
Okay.
But we're moving it over to the Village Hall. They have a new green space in front of the hall, so it's across the Metro lot from where we're at.
Okay.
And but it's a great event.
It's a nice space over there.
Yeah, it's you buy a ticket. It's 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock. There's music all day. You get a sample glass, so you sample beers from 35 breweries, basically.
So, give me an idea of the makeup of the breweries. Is it all Illinois, or
it's mostly Illinois. We have a few like some Wisconsin breweries that we've brought down.
Okay.
We're trying to get at them. There's a lot of events going on, and all the towns tend to be having them, so it's hard to get out and do them all. But we have a pretty good following here. We have a good, real good relationship with the breweries in the guild, the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild.
Okay.
Which is a huge asset for anybody in the brewing industry to have a strong guild. So we get a really good response from them. We try to treat the brewers well, so the brewers like to come up here.
Right.
As a home brewer for 20 years, I enjoyed going to festivals and events where you could actually talk to the people making the beer, or as close as you can. So we try to treat them well. We have hospitality for them, and it's not easy to get to Mundelein from everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but I think we've become a favorite of a lot of the breweries. So we get a nice turnout, so you can actually get here, and we don't make it too crowded, so you can actually go up and talk to people.
That's great. So you buy a ticket. How many people do you expect at this festival?
I think we're going to cap it at 2,000 this year.
Wow.
We had about 1,400 last year, and it's grown every year. Again, we don't want to get too big. It's nice not having lines and being able to talk to the people if they want.
Yeah. Anything else on the horizon in the summertime besides the festivals? You guys have done some really cool
there's some
restaurant
things
stuff.
I'd like to do. Yeah, beer dinners will continue to happen.
Okay.
Just having great pairings with great chefs at local restaurants and throughout the area. They're great events. If you ever get a chance, go out and you never go wrong with a beer dinner. So
yeah. What was the last one you did?
We did one at Park Street.
Okay.
Here in Mundelein. Great little restaurant. They are huge supporters of ours and have been since day one. At least 2 or 3 handles all the time. Wow. And we actually did a collaboration beer with them. So they wanted something that they could always have on tap for a while, and so we sat down and talked with them and started coming up with ideas.
Okay.
Ended up brewing a beer specifically for the dinner.
Okay.
And then they'll have access to that beer, throughout the year.
Okay, so that's great.
We're now selling it here too, so it's not exclusive.
Are you looking for collaborators, or you just it's more organic relationships?
We really haven't. There's a lot of breweries do a lot of collaborating. We just really haven't either found the time or had the production capacity to do it a lot of times. We are kind of far removed from, there's a lot of breweries in the city, and a lot of those guys will do things together.
Right.
It's just not easy for us to get around and take a day to do things, so we haven't pursued it a whole lot. We're always open to doing it. I think they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. The craft beer now in the past I've heard that some of the home brewers bring their stuff and it's a competition. Is this festival that you're doing in June, will it have that element to it or not?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just a straight craft beer festival.
Do those exist? I mean, would you ever brew anybody's beer here? Do you have a capacity to do it if you had a craft beer fest that were a home brewer? I think we did one of those in the past.
Those are usually more homebrew competitions.
Okay.
And they'll allow a winner to brew a beer. We're going to be working with a local club. I was actually a founding member, one of the original members of Babel, which is a club in Lake County.
Okay.
So I organized our competition for years. I'm not as involved now, just for time purposes.
Right.
And I don't really homebrew anymore. I make mead, but no brewing these days.
Make meat?
Mead.
Mead.
Yeah.
I'm like, meat? What do you do with that?
No, I can't make mead. I can eat mead. I make cheese.
You make cheese.
So, yes,
all right.
and mead. Honey wine, basically, or fermented honey is mead.
Okay, all right.
Very tasty.
All right.
So the equipment doesn't go to waste at home.
So you still dabble.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm in it. We used to can salsa and sell it to friends, and
that's awesome.
I always had gardens, and I canned tomatoes and do things like that. Made jams. So
now, any of your kids have the same interests? I know they're in high school, obviously, but the building of the recipes, do they get fired up about this, or are they kind of just doing their thing?
Yeah, they're just doing their thing.
They're just doing their thing? Okay.
Yeah, which is, at their age, I don't need them too interested in brewing.
Yeah, true.
But they've definitely been around it. I mean, we don't leave town without, and never have since they've been babies. If we go somewhere to eat, it's typically a brew pub or somewhere.
Okay.
They're great. They're great, friendly places for all family.
Family, right?
Yeah,
right.
As long as you can get some chicken strips and
yeah,
hamburger,
barbecue
it's all
sauce,
good.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hear
Mom's
you.
happy, dad's happy.
That's right.
Kids are
That's
happy.
right. Well, thanks so much for your time,
Yeah.
Bruce. It's great sitting
Thank you.
down with you and learning more about Tighthead,
Yeah.
and we look forward to coming to the tap room and also the when is the event again?
June 6th.
June 6th.
Yep.
All right.
1 to 5. So.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you.
George, it's a wrap. Thanks.
Cool. Good. Well, that was easy. Scientific.